You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats, they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections.
Yes, the apocalyptic death cult of the Democrat Party. That was Jasmine Crockett, who is at least as bright as a pair of shoes that I have at home. And she was on with Jake Tapper, a former Democrat Party Capitol Hill staffer. Well, it's the old we may not have elections in 4 years stuff. They are, they're the party of civil war. They're not on the side of anything good. They're on the side of everything bad. Womp, womp, womp. She was also Jasmine Crockett, now hero of the Democrat Party. One headline, redstate.com, Dem catfight continues. Crockett fires back at Fetterman with some nasty jabs. Nasty jabs. We'll try to get to that, too. But right now, let's get to President Trump. President Trump went to Mar-a-Lago over the weekend, Air Force One, Marine One, all that good stuff, and possibly a motorcade. I'm not sure. I wasn't there. But then he came home last night. And coming home to the White House last night in Washington, D.C., he came forward or back in Air Force One to go talk to the press because he dominates every news cycle by actually talking to the press, where Joe Biden was in a coma for 4 years in an iron lung, and his brain never worked very well even before all that. But let me get to President Trump, because on Air Force One yesterday, he was asked, the Democrats are very upset that President Trump is deporting from the United States Venezuelan gang members with a Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua, and they took over those apartment complexes in Colorado, and they kill and they murder and they rape, and the Democrats applaud because they want more. They want more of all of that. They're not on the side of civilization. They're the left. Also, there's a fun, since President Trump busy on his own social media platform since the communists blocked him from Twitter. He created his own social media platform, Truth Social Media. It's like Elon Musk. It's like they wouldn't sell him a car. So he created Teslas, which they were wild about until they weren't, because you know how they are. But President Trump has latched on to something else, which is fun. And I talked about this last week. The auto pen, the auto pen, which signs a facsimile signature, but it's not really your signature. And sane people, conservatives, not the New York Times or CNN, took a look at the auto pen signatures and realized that Joe Biden had used the auto pen for all kinds of big-time White House business, government business. And remarkably, it turns out that a lot of pardons were issued by Joe Biden using the auto pen. And President Trump is raising questions about this and asking whether the auto pen signature means that the pardons were actually legal. Were they legal? President Trump on Truth Social posted, the, quote, pardons, end quote, that sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents, President Trump wrote, were explained to or were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them. And the people that they may have committed a crime, therefore those unselect committee and beyond. He declares that these pardons are no longer valid, which is a lot of fun, I've got to say. That's great. And auto pen. So this will be challenged in court. And I've got to say, good for President Trump for picking the fights. You know, the Republicans never pick the fights. The Democrats always pick the fights. President Trump is picking the fights, and let them fight it out. Now let's go to President Trump on Air Force One last night, talking about the deportations of the illegal aliens.
These were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, hombres. Well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. That's an invasion.
It's an invasion. He's not having any of it. I've got more on President Trump coming up. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Now, the Democrats continue to lose whatever is left of their insane minds. President Trump, with the strongest approval rating, even though James Carville and other Democrats said that Trump's popularity and Republican popularity would collapse by now. And the opposite is happening, of course, because they're insane and wrong about everything and all of that good stuff. Just amazing. The New York Post with the story, Trump ties for highest approval he's ever had, as more Americans say U.S. is on right track than at any time in 20 years. The new poll, pretty amazing. And the New York Post has the story. The rest of the news media are trying to hide this from everyone. But Trump ties for highest approval he's ever had, and the greatest number of right track people in America in 20 years. Never mind that, though. 3 months into his second term, President Trump hit the highest approval rating he's ever had as commander-in-chief, while more Americans say the country is on the right track than at any point since 2004. A new poll found, but wait, it's not the New York Post poll, is it? Because the left, they love to pretend everything is, they lie to themselves as frequently as they lie to everyone else. That's the good news, according to NBC News, an NBC News poll released on Sunday, that is yesterday. The bad news is that Trump still has not won over the majority of Americans, and 54% say they disapprove of his handling of the economy. Well, that's because of the saturation propaganda that the left spreads. Oh, no, we're about to enter recession. Egg price. Remember, they talked about egg prices 20 times a day until it's because Joe Biden bit the heads off of 100 million chickens while he was president, and that cut down on the supply of eggs. But never mind that. So the NBC News poll, still highest approval rating for Trump and the best right track numbers in decades. And then there's another, the CNN poll has the lowest approval rating for Democrats in decades, which is pretty amazing too. But the Democrats, they live in a bizarro fantasy world. So the CNN poll, Democratic Party's favorability drops to a record low. Record low. The history of the CNN poll, for as long as they've been asking this question in a poll, they've never had such low numbers for the Democrats. And what are they going to do? Well, they're and what are they in favor of? What do they represent? What do they stand for? And when you ask Democrats who best represents the values of the Democrat Party, the top winner is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with 10% of the Democrat vote. And they've got Jasmine Crockett at 4%, along with Barack Obama at 4%. Hakeem, the Jew-hater Jeffries, at 6%. Bernie the Bolshevik at 8%. You people, can I just say, plummeting Democratic Party favorability. In January of 2021, the CNN poll found the Democratic Party had a 49% favorability rating, January of 2021. Now, in March of 2025, they're down to 29% approval rating for the Democratic Party. They were at 49% in 2021, 29% today. Isn't that amazing? President Trump's approval rating in the NBC News poll, 47% approve, right? And 44% say the nation is on the right track. 54% say wrong track, but nevertheless, that's the best number we've had in 20 years, which is pretty amazing. Now, we just played the soundbite of you, President Trump, aboard Air Force One, talking about deporting the Tren de Aragua criminals to El Salvador, where they yanked them off. These guys look tough. If you've seen this video, did you see this video? It's pretty amazing. These the prison guys, the law enforcement in Salvador, they look serious, really tough. And they've got matching, clean, snappy uniforms on. They'll look like it's like a James Bond movie inside the volcano or something. And they look tough. They look like serious guys. And they grabbed these Tren de Aragua gang members with the big tattoos covering their whole back and stuff. And they got them in ankle shackles, metal ankle shackles, and handcuffs behind their backs. And they're roughing them up and throwing them into this prison, which is the cleanest, neatest, tidiest prison you've ever seen anywhere. And it looks almost fake. It's so clean. And these tough prison guards throwing these gang members in there. And it turns out the United States were paying El Salvador to take these gang members off our hands, and we pay them to put them in their prisons, and it costs us a lot less than we would pay to put them in our prisons because our prisons are so expensive and their prisons are not so expensive. And the president of El Salvador, he's saying all kinds of good things and being positive about President Trump, and President Trump saying nice things about the president of El Salvador. It's kind of an amazing setup we've got here. But the wonderful White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, we had this Obama judge jump in, who's a Yale Law School skull and bones guy who was initially put on the bench by George W. Bush, but then elevated, promoted by Barack Obama, which is how you know he's a communist, because he's not on our side. But we've tossed these illegal aliens to El Salvador, the gang members, Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, and cut a deal with another country, with a third country. I've got to say, it's pretty crafty stuff. They're making it work. Now, a federal judge orders 2-week stop on Trump deportations targeting Tren de Aragua members, the Washington Examiner wrote. And they're actually covering the news properly. Zach LaChance at the Washington Examiner. A federal judge on Saturday night ordered an immediate 2-week halt to all deportations of Venezuelan illegal immigrants with ties to the Tren de Aragua gang, as the judge, weighs the legality of President Donald Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act to do so. Now, earlier on Saturday, Trump issued a proclamation declaring an invasion by the Venezuelan-based gang and ordered the immediate deportation of all Venezuelan illegal immigrants 14 years and older who are members of Tren de Aragua. In the proclamation, Trump invoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. And the news media are like, oh, it's such an old law. Like that means it's not good or something. Murder is an old law, but the Democrats are pro-murder now, too. So the 1798 Alien Enemies Act, a wartime law that has only been used 3 times in U.S. history and allows for the deportation of natives and citizens of an enemy nation without a hearing. And the media, they're very upset about this. They're like, not since we put Japanese in internment camps, which the Democrats did, by the way. It was the Democrats, left-wing, progressive, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that rounded up, and by the way, a lot of them were American citizens that the Democrats threw into concentration camps during World War II because they're nothing if not racist. But I love this stuff. So it's an old act, and there is an invasion, President Trump has declared. So good stuff.
Peter Jeffries, President Trump just invoked the Alien Enemies Act to target Venezuelan nationals. We haven't seen this law be used to target a single ethnicity since the Japanese internment. What are you going to do to prevent the next Japanese internment and protect Venezuelans who call this country home?
Protect Venezuelans who call this country home, who are illegal alien gang members. Protect the immigrants who are illegal alien gang members who call this country home. That was Alicia Menendez, who was hired by MSDNC, by NBC Fake News, to give her a 7-figure salary, $1 million a year salary. Her father is Gold Bar's Bob Menendez, right? Didn't he have, like, child sex abuse in the Dominican Republic issues years ago? And then that was swept under the rug. Then they found the gold bars in his house and all the pockets and every jacket and every closet stuffed with cash, and his wife driving the Mercedes-Benz. That was a gift. And what they're going to put Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, in jail for getting an upgrade on his flight to Turkey from coach to business class. That's going to get you in prison for years. But her father, Senator Bob Menendez, Gold Bar's Bob, prison penitentiary bound because of all the crimes he committed and stuff. But there she is, pretending to be a journalist, but being a left-wing radical hack, and talking to Hakeem Jeffries, who, again, was raised by his anti-Semite uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries. Remarkable stuff. So what about protecting these poor Venezuelan gang members? Can't we save them? Yes, sir. Now, Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, said, and by the way, it was, again, the Obama, originally put on the bench by W. Bush because they were in Skull and Bones together at Yale Law, but then promoted by Barack Obama, not on our side. Caroline Leavitt says the administration did not refuse to comply with a court order. Federal courts generally have no jurisdiction over the president's conduct of foreign affairs. A single judge in a single city cannot direct the movements of an aircraft carrier full of foreign alien terrorists who are physically expelled from U.S. soil. But the Democrats, they love lawfare, don't they? Yes, they do. You might begin to think that they're not on our side. Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patty's. Still a little early to be drinking really heavily, but you know the old saying, you can't drink all day if you don't start first thing in the morning. Everybody knows that. But it is St. Patrick's Day, and the fighter, the Irish fighter Conor McGregor, visiting the White House today, taking questions in the briefing room. Conor McGregor. And he also signed a hat. He's got a hat that says, Make Ireland Great Again. And Conor McGregor is signing the Make Ireland Great Again hat at the White House, taking questions. Good stuff, good stuff. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, and the Democrats are very upset. Oh, no, you've taken Tren de Aragua gang members out of the United States and you sent them to a prison, and, you know, we want to send them to Venezuela. And Venezuela says, well, we're not going to take them. The president of El Salvador, friendlier leader, says, hey, we've got great prisons here. And boy, based on the video, it looks like their prisons are a serious business. And they've got problems with gangs and everything else. But it looks like they run a tight ship there, a tough place. So they're taking them off our hands, the bad hombres. 260 illegal alien gang members deported to El Salvador. And the Democrats want to free them. 261 total illegal migrants deported. 137 of them were President Trump decided to use the Alien Enemies Act. 101 of the 261 were Venezuelans removed under Title VIII. Everybody knows Title VIII, right? I love how they throw, hey, it's Title VIII. Like we all know what Title VIII is. 21 of them were members of MS-13, the gang out of El Salvador. And 2 of them were considered to be special cases for El Salvador. And it looks like they'll take care of them pretty well, I've got to say. And I love President Trump calling into question the auto pen executive order fiasco that Biden and the Democrats inflicted on us for Dr. Anthony Fauci and members of the Biden family and members of the January 6th Select Committee like Liz Cheney and some of these other mental cases, these lunatics who just want to jail their political enemies because they abuse power. That's what power is for. Now, with that said, actually, let's go to a phone call. Let's go to Chris calling from Marshall, Virginia. Christopher, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
As always, calling from the front line of the heartland. It's an honor to be speaking with you, sir. Listen, we're making much ado about nothing with this whole auto pen thing. There's already all the legislation and all the policies that we need. If I were to take a check from you, steal it out of your mailbox, and endorse your name on the back of it, what would my charge be? I think they call that forgery, don't they?
Well, it would be, but, the government, the rules don't apply to the government, Chris. They have the power, and therefore, and as we know, the left believes that all power is there to be abused, the whole purpose, the whole function of power.
We have the Bongino, though.
Well, that's right. As of today, I think, today, Dan takes up his post-deputy director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And you're right, we're going to have to start enforcing laws in the United States. And that is a great one. In fact, I may even see Dan today, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But I think last time I saw him was on this floor in this building doing radio long ago. But that aside, you're right. If they use the auto pen and pretend that it has the power, you use it to send out Christmas cards and things. The auto pen, you're going to send out 1 million Christmas cards, so the auto pen signs all the Christmas cards. But when it comes to executive orders, the President of the United States shouldn't have so many executive orders that he doesn't even know what's going out there. But smart people, conservatives, looked at the signatures, right, Chris, and saw that they're all absolutely identical, which is impossible with any group of 100 signatures. So clearly some bureaucrat in the Biden White House used the device, the auto pen, to sign executive orders by the boatload. And the question hangs, is that legal? It's fine for a Christmas card or for a happy birthday card for little Timmy. But
right.
But when it comes
I'm so
to
old, sir, I'm so old that I remember the outrage about when they called Hussein Suatero, they called him the teleprompter in chief because they didn't think that what he was saying was legitimate because all he did was read off the teleprompter. I mean, I long for those good old days. We were so innocent then.
So innocent. No more. Chris, thank you, buddy. That's fun. It's forgery. Is it forgery? And if Joe Biden says after the fact, no, it's okay with me, I'm not sure that still has legal force. But I love the fact that President Trump is calling it into question and jamming it in their faces like it's a lemon meringue pie. Lemon meringue pie. Why lemon meringue pie? Because they have, a lot of whipped cream on top. Good for jamming in a face. Key lime pie, too. I think key lime pie is good for that as well. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. These guys, these Democrats, they are not on our side. Yeah, so thoroughly modern Millie, who thinks that the military was there to put on a show. They want to put on a musical, a transgender musical. And Anthony Fauci, how many times did he lie to us and about how many important things? Allegedly, more than 1 million Americans died from the Wuhan, 7 million worldwide. But I digress. Let's get back to President Trump. President Trump. Yeah, very upset. How dare you deport illegal alien gang members from Venezuela to a third country, to be sure. President Trump is making big changes. He's like a Teddy Roosevelt-style president. And going after the Houthis in Yemen is big. And the Democrats are actually against that. They're pro-Houthi rebel and anti-U.S. military. They're sick, demented. President Trump also talking about ending the Ukraine war. And when he was on Air Force One yesterday, he's talking about getting on the horn with Putin and talking about ending the war against Ukraine. And the Democrats are the party of the military-industrial complex, the party of war and mayhem. So the Democrats are against ending the war against Ukraine by Russia, and then they accuse you of being in Putin's back pocket while they want the war to keep going and will obstruct any effort to bring an end to the war. President Trump aboard Air Force One coming into Washington last night from Palm Beach, Florida.
I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. A lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance.
Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance. Now, the press, you may have noticed, was in stunned silence. They don't know what to say. Joe Biden never said anything like that for 3 years. He just kept saying, hey, another $60 billion to keep the war going. I assume the Biden family is getting financial kickbacks from the military-industrial complex. In fact, my best girl and I yesterday, we were in Virginia, out in Virginia. I like to say out in Virginia. And we were out in Falls Church. I guess we were out in Falls Church. And we went by the home of Antony Blinken by the CIA out on 123 across the Chain Bridge. And there used to be a bunch of pro-Hamas lunatics camping in front of his many, many multi-million-dollar house, probably a $15 million house or something, because they all get really rich off of government work. There are trillions of dollars being spread around. Went by Antony Blinken's house. It's by the CIA. And the campers are gone, the pro-Hamas campers, but they still support Hamas and Mahmoud Khalil, of course. And we also went by the home of the now former Secretary of Defense during the Biden years. We went by his house, and it's a $3.5 million. Yeah, Lloyd Austin's house, $3.5 million house. $3.5 million house in Falls Church. It's good. Your government service can be good to you. Yeah, the $3.5 million farther out, I think that Antony Blinken's house probably worth more millions. It's right across the street from the Saudi ambassador's residence, which is probably $30 million. But never mind that. So President Trump talking about ending the war, getting on the phone with Putin tomorrow. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. But, darn if he's not going to give it a try. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But he's trying to bring peace. Where are the Democrats on this? They're just firebombing Teslas. The Democrat Party is a violent death cult. But they love Planned Parenthood, don't they? It's how they cull the black herd in the United States by 40 to 50%, depending on where you are. President Trump, also, I just talked about it, the auto pen, and we were talking about it with Chris. President Trump on Air Force One last night talking about the abuse of the auto pen.
But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get. And the reason they did that is because the information was very incriminating.
Imagine that. President Trump, and I think it's appropriate that he call this into question, raise the issue. I did something crazy last night. I was telling Piercy about it earlier. At home with my best girl, gobbling up news and stuff. Got the iPad and the desktop and the TV and the DVR and the, blah, 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 collecting. And then breaking away, I went to, want to give my best girl a break. I went to this thing called Amazon Prime. Have you seen this? It's streaming on the internet. It can be on your television and things. And I went to it, and it landed me in a weird place. And it was a row of black and white frames of Mike Wallace, formerly of 60 Minutes on CBS News, interviewing people, sitting down and interviewing people. Kind of remarkable. And I saw he was interviewing Mike in 1960-something, Rod Serling of the Twilight Zone, right, of the Twilight Zone. And I said, well, a little break from the madness, I think a 30-minute interview with Rod Serling from way back when. And I watched it. I actually watched this Rod Serling interview with Mike Wallace. And what I noted and what I said to Michael about watching the interview was how incredibly articulate, how which could be racist, to call Rod Serling articulate. He was so well-spoken, so clear in his use of the English language, that I was reminded that used to be normal before the left took everything over. And Rod Serling, who died at the age of 50, a series of heart attacks, chain smoking. Oh, they were all chain smoking. Everybody was chain smoking. But speaking of which, let's go to Jake Tapper, not Mike Wallace, talking to Jasmine Crockett, not Rod Serling. And they were having a little Democrat Party fluff fest. Jake Tapper, former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer. Jasmine Crockett, severely mentally ill.
Last week, you were one of those who participated in a Choose Your Fighter video. It got some criticism online, including Democratic Senator John Fetterman called it bizarre and reportedly mocked it in the Senate hallway. I will say that your punching looked better than some of your colleagues.
Her punching looked better. The flattery never stops. I'm being corrected here by my best girl. The Secretary of Defense's home is in Great Falls, not Falls Church. See, everybody's a journalist. Everybody, it's like that. Jake Tapper with his pal, Jasmine Crockett. Hey, John Fetterman, he seems to be severely mentally impaired.
Fetterman has been criticizing your party for undignified antics and a sad cavalcade of cell phones during the president's address to Congress. What's your response to Senator Fetterman?
Yeah, what's your response to Senator Fetterman? Because, he's a big Democrat.
He's not the one to talk about anything. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't seemingly want to own a suit. I'm not really sure. But I don't show up in hoodies when I'm going on the floor. It is important that people see that we're real people. And even if that means that there's a moment to laugh, that's okay, especially since it seems like we're doing more crying than anything. So I just don't think that he's necessarily the one to actually have an opinion about this.
They're doing more crying than anything, which is somewhat gratifying and somewhat enjoyable. I don't want necessarily to see other people suffer, but every now and then you have to make an exception to that rule. Wow. That this country, our great country, was built on hard work. And whether you're, standing long hours every day, running errands, chasing the kids, just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis, you shouldn't have to deal with fatigue and foot pain and ankle pain. And that's where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes, built with patented VersaShock technology. The Federal Trade Commission has authorized G-Defy to tell all of us that these shoes actually help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking and running and prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock, align your body, improve your biomechanics, and return energy with every step you take. You know, my best girl and I, we have G-Defy shoes they sent us, and we hike around. They make your arches feel better the more you hike. You can get 50% off your order of $120 or more right now by texting Chris, that's me, to 91888. Or you can head to Al Gore's Amazing Internet and go to Gdefy.com and use the code Chris there. And that way you're going to save 50% because you hang with me. With G-Defy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose at all. Message and data rates apply. Yes, sir. Oh, why do I have so little time every day? Why do I have so little time?
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man. Yeah.
Those rascally Democrats. Aren't they crazy? They're very angry with Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer's got a new book out about anti-Semitism, which is kind of ironic, I think. He's allegedly Jewish. President Trump said he's not Jewish anymore. Now he's Palestinian. Pretty much true. He's got a new book out about anti-Semitism, which is rather ironic, I think. And he had to cancel his book tour. He was starting his book tour today, but he's had to cancel it. I think he learned that too many left-wing radicals were going to show up at his appearances and terrorize him because he's a Jew. And, you know, they hate the Jews, which is kind of ironic. But he's canceled or put on pause at least, his book. He didn't write his book. Somebody else wrote it. Somebody else is publishing it. Somebody else is distributing it. He's just going to make millions of dollars off it. Democrats are going to buy it by the truckload, and nobody's going to read it because that's the scam that the Democrats have when it comes to their books, you know. So we've got that going. Book tour postponed amid funding vote controversy. See, the Democrats are furious with him that he didn't throw down and go to war and shut the government down and blame the Republicans with the help of the press. I'll be back tomorrow for more.